All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Life Between the Six with Cody Cropper, your host, Brandon, and we are back with MLS recap. We are game week 14 in the books. I can't believe we're already at this point, but Cody, back with another guest.
Yeah, Wil Trapp, El Capitan of Minnesota United. Welcome, Will.
What's up, guys? How we doing? Thanks for having me.
Mr. On the road. You guys are on a long run right now. Portland down to Houston for MLS Open Cup. So isn't that probably nice that we could carve out a little bit of time to pass the time for you, huh?
I mean, I'd either be rewatching episodes of Game of Thrones or talking to you guys. So this is a nice little break in my binging. So this is great.
Good. Glad to hear it. Game of Thrones, what an excellent show, first of all.
Dude, I don't know why I took the dive back in, but it was like there's so many details I probably missed first time around.
Oh,
and
100%.
Zarek, Valentin, and I have just been going after it, and it's it's better the second time. It's better the second time.
I might have to join the bandwagon there and
it's
hop
worth
on
it, dude. It's worth it.
Fantastic.
Well, you guys let me know how it goes. I've never watched a single episode. I heard it's pretty good. Speaking of Z, we got a little Z sighting. You guys roommates?
We are roommates, dude. Me and this guy we ham it up. I keep him away from as many gummy bears as he's trying to shovel down his throat, but you know.
Hey, the sweets king. I remember our time in Houston, and it was the same way. This guy would show up to COVID training. Obviously, we're not allowed to be on the same field as each other.
Yeah.
But we'd walk off the field after training, and this guy would just be hamming gummy bears. And it's like
he's brilliant.
Where are you getting these from?
You're like, Z, you don't even have pockets, man. What the hell?
Yeah, dude. The Haribos, man. He's all about it. Yep. It's great.
All about him.
That's funny. Well, glad to see the camaraderie with podcast guests as usual. But we'll kick it off a little bit here. Just kind of set the stage on the conference side. Eastern, Cincinnati at the top, Nashville second, New England third. And then at the bottom is Montreal, then Chicago, then Toronto. On the Western side, you've got LAFC, Seattle, St. Louis. And again, the bottom, Colorado, Kansas City, LA. You're here, Will, so we got to say Minnesota in sixth. Making a bit of a climb. You guys have been road warriors, which we'll talk about a little bit. But from your perspective, Will, any big surprises as far as the season's going? We're still early, right? Early days, not even to the break yet. But any big surprises this season for you?
I mean, I think the first thing you have to look at is like some of the heavier hitters, quote unquote, with Galaxy and Toronto. Just the results that haven't gone their way. I think if you look at Galaxy, especially, like you talk to players that play against their groups and they're like, man, they play well, but they're just struggling to score goals and struggling to keep goals out. So that's a surprise, I would say. I think St. Louis was obviously a surprise to start the season. I mean, just how hot they were. And I think having played there, it's an excellent electric environment. And I think they're really passionate and understand who they are as an expansion group. They're impressive. Cincinnati, man, like that's a gauntlet that's running pretty heavy through the Eastern Conference. So I think the big boys struggling, new guys doing well, and then Cincinnati just kind of pulling away quality-wise has been interesting for me to see so far.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think one thing I'll add is we've discussed LA's struggles and Toronto's struggles week after week, and it is quite fascinating to see because it's not where you would expect those teams to be, especially after the money that they've spent in the markets the last 2 to 3 windows. That said, I'm sure that they'll figure it out and they might get that one result that gets them hot at the right time, and you'll see them sneak into the playoffs somehow. You know,
I mean, it's
always a possibility.
It's interesting too. It's like what we were talking about kind of pre-recording, Brandon, in the sense of like MLS just being this Wild West, man. And it can be so unpredictable. I'm sure from a like a betting perspective, it's probably the most electric like league to bet on in the world because literally anything can happen.
We call that volatile in the betting world.
Yeah. Volatility is, it's real. So yeah, Cody, I think it's like you have those moments where teams could be dumpster diving and then the striker scores a goal, catches confidence. And now they're like, they rip off 5 wins and then they climb the table and 2-3 weeks. It's nuts.
Yeah. Agreed.
Well, obviously it's probably a good season to be in the West, especially with those, Colorado kind of struggling a bit, Real Salt Lake, bit of a shootout between those two teams. We'll continue to dive in, but yeah, a lot of goals this weekend, which that's what you want at the end of the day, right? You want a lot of goals. I was kind of like browsing through the scores, and Cody, you and I were trying to pick out what games you want to talk to. And it seems like no matter what we choose, we're definitely leaving a couple big ones off, but that's also a testament to the league and everything that's happening. So we're moving in the right direction, right? A little bit of midseason form, at least on the attack side. Defenders and clean sheets are hard to come by, but they're sneaking a couple in as we see. So I guess the first one we wanted to talk about, since Will is here, is Minnesota United. Even though they're late game on the road to Portland, Cody, one of your you've talked about how hard it is to play Portland. We talked a little bit about how Minnesota's been road warriors this season. I was laughing because I got my Minnesota United scarf on just to really bolster my affinity to you, Will. And, I lived in the same building with Dane St. Clair for a little bit. He's such a hoot, that guy. And all that. So yeah, Cody, you start, but Minnesota on the road yet again over Portland.
Yeah. I mean, I've said it once, I've said it a million times. Portland is a tough place to play, and I think Will can attest to that, having played there several times with 3 clubs now. Did you play there with Miami?
Miami, we didn't go there, but yeah,
Okay.
with Columbus, we played there a decent amount, and then now every year we go there. So, yeah,
it's a tough place to play. Wednesday night, Saturday night, it doesn't really matter. Their fans show up and show out.
Yeah, and they're a group of players, man, that like they're about as opportunistic of a group as you're going to play against. Almost ceding possession, and weirdly, like it's kind of an anti-press. When you have the ball, they kind of lull you to sleep by not putting a ton of pressure on you because they want to win it and transition. And if you can guard yourselves against those moments and be like very, very put together when the ball turns over, you give yourself a chance. And I think, the game on Saturday night for us was a little bit back and forth, but I thought we were very responsible in the moments where they can hurt you. And that adds to where the fans get excited because plays just happen on the break for them and balls flip this way, that way, and they create chances.
Yeah. I was actually going to touch on that in terms of like, from what I saw of the game, it's a tale of two halves. It looked like you guys dominated a majority of the first half, created a handful of chances. And Jazzy, their goalkeeper, Ivachich, had a solid first half and really kept them in the game.
Yeah, a couple shots from distance, a couple like in and around the box where they made some good clearances. But then the second half, you could feel a little bit of a change in the tide, and they were definitely pressing a little bit more and creating more chances. But again, in those games, we've been on the other side of it where you concede right at the end this season.
Yeah.
And it was very vindicating for us to sit there and grind it down, especially after this May that's been crazy so far. And Bongi makes a great play, and we find a way to get 3 points when we didn't really necessarily think it was going to happen.
Right. That was another point I was going to make is you guys seem to be playing every other day right now. And I don't know if it's just the way that Open Cup games have slipped into the schedule or what it might be, but it just feels like your guys' schedule specifically has been more packed and just more demanding than any other team in the league.
I don't know. I can't speak to that. I can say though, this is probably the busiest month of football I've ever seen in my career where there is no like break in the middle of the week. It really is like Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday, whatever it may be. But on the reverse side, Cody, you know this, like when you get to just recover and play, it's like so much more fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Not having to train is like awesome, but the travel can be just harder on the bodies. And I think it's really important how you show up because you forget, like last week, who did we even play? I don't remember. It's like, we've already played 2 games since then, guys.
How did you forget your rivalry week game, Will?
Yeah, precisely. Right. You just,
I think you just get caught up in the moment, and you're like Will's saying, you play a game, you get a day off, and you take that time to be with your family, your friends, whatever it might be. You show up for training on Monday, you show up for training on Tuesday, you get on a flight and you go to the next city. And it's like, all right, that game's done. Whether we won or lost, it's done. It's dusted. We put it behind us and we're now focused on this game. And then you go and you do the same thing.
Yeah.
You got
Well, and go ahead, Brandon. Yeah.
I was going to say, like, you have to forget because your iPad's loaded with new clips. You got new scouting reports. You got new assignments. Like, you're trying to make a couple tweaks, probably nothing crazy, you know, because like you said, you only have a few games, but you know, yeah, you have to forget.
Yeah. You have to forget. And there's literally no time to like train. So it's all about what are you doing off the field to prepare yourself again? Because like you said, Brandon, it's not like you get to go walk through it on the field or train it. You can't do that. There's no time for that. So it's an interesting predicament for the coaches, for the players, but it's still more fun to have games. But like you were talking about earlier, I think it's all been constricted based on some of the League's Cup stuff that's new this year. So they're really sandwiching in this Open Cup games where they usually wouldn't be. So yeah, it's something. It's something, that's for sure.
Well, in this game, you guys did a really good job. I mean, you gave up 18 shots, but only 3 of those made it on frame. You had 10 shots blocked. This is a defensive unit. You know, you're playing, would you consider it a 6 right now in that holding too?
Yeah. Yeah. The 6-8, we share the defensive responsibilities for sure. Kind of just being a back 4 with 2 right in front.
Yeah.
And shielding in that regard. But yeah, I mean, that's something for us as a group, man. Like when we are hard to break down and hard to, or we defend the box well, it's always a better recipe for us. It's when we start to open ourselves up and we overcommit is when things start to be more challenging for us.
Yeah. I mean, that's understandable. But again, kudos to you guys. You had to grind, right? You had to grind this one out. You know, you're under the cosh a little bit, like Cody was saying. Got the goal. I mean, 90th plus 5, right? Like absolute death. You guys are going. You probably see the assistant put up the numbers. 90th plus 5. I love the box score. Goal. 90th plus 6. Yeah. Caution. Excessive celebration. You gotta love it.
Oh yeah. Shirt
off. Just
go for it, baby. Yeah, it was
absolutely.
And it was only 4. I think it was only 4 added minutes, which is like hilarious to me.
That's funny. I mean, thoughts. Okay, so talk me through the goal. Right, you get the ball and you see this. You see space and you.
Make me sound really good. No, honestly, it's like the game's almost over. We're at this point. I think everyone on the field's like, hey, 0-0 draw away from home after a tough week. This is great. So it's pretty much just putting it in an area far from our goal. And I put give a lot of credit to Mender Garcia, who just kind of gambles and runs, tracks the ball down. There, you can see the Portland players are a little surprised by like we're still playing kind of thing. And then we just have a little bit of composure to pass again. Bongi sees a thoroughfare and hits a shot that I think Ivacic doesn't see till late. So again, you talk about opportunism. That was kind of quintessential goal of it. But just proud of our group to be running in the 95th minute, to keep going, to keep pushing and being brave to take the risk.
Yeah. So what you're saying is it wasn't a clearance and it was a pass into space for Mender Garcia.
I was reading Zupric's body language. He looked tired. You know, I knew he wasn't going to be able to recover to his right. You know, exactly all those things. That's just the gyro in my brain. It was. I can't even speak about it because it's just so natural to me.
It's so natural.
This supercomputer up there. Yeah, and it must have caught Ivacic off a little bit because he wasn't set. Like I think
he didn't get a push at all.
Yeah,
no. He didn't get a push.
Yeah, which obviously is, you know, hey, super helpful. You take it, but you know, you got to find those moments to get in there. So, nice little half volley scoop pass. Ooh, with the technique. I'm watching it back. Will, you're not giving yourself enough credit right there. Man, but Cody, Minnesota United has kind of stole a lot of the headlines. I think the big one league wide was obviously Brenner being sold to Europe, but then the other one was a player returning.
Yeah. Obviously Reynoso not showing up for preseason, there being the whole, I guess, cloud over that.
Yeah, what would you call it, Cody? What would you call it?
There is dark cloud, like the Minnesota what do they call it? The Minnesota cloud?
Dark clouds, the supporters
dark
group
clouds,
from the NASL days.
Supporter group. There was a dark cloud over Reynoso. How's his return been? I mean, is he settling back into the team well?
Yeah, look, I think the analogies, dark cloud, I don't even know if that was it. I think I give our group so much credit, man, because there was a lot of narratives off the field that we just didn't even think about, man, because at the end of the day, like, your job as a professional is to show up, work to help the team win. And I give, again, our group a ton of credit for kind of putting it back in mind. And like you said, Brandon, kind of going on the road for some of these early games and winning and creating like a decent little start for ourselves. So we didn't know what the situation was going to be like, whether he was going to come back at all. But now that he's returned, I think we had a group meeting where we were able to kind of at least get some understanding of what was causing the absence. And I think that was the first step for a lot of us to getting back on a road of trust. Because at the end of the day, man, like, yes, we're professionals. Our job is to help the team, but like, that only works if we trust each other on some level. And I think you have to, based on this situation, trust has to be rebuilt. And I think he came in a humble way that wants to rebuild what that looks like. So I was happy that the group responded well to it, and that Ray kind of showed up in a way that I think he's motivated. He's been working his tail off so far to get back with the group. But there's still a ways to go in terms of the physical aspect, but also just the culture aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. And as somebody who's played against him, that's obviously great to hear, because he is such a key player for what you guys have been able to accomplish the last year or two. I mean, his ability on the ball is truly incredible, and he sees a lot of things that a lot of players don't see. So his impact is, in my opinion, crucial to what you guys do offensively.
Oh yeah. I mean, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's half balling it over the back line at the end of the game to create that goal, but you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't know.
He can have 0 to
Wil
90.
Trapp.
Wil Trapp in stoppage time, unmatched.
Give it to me, baby. Give it to me. I'll take that.
Right there, Wil Trapp.
No, all joking aside, from a technical perspective, from a vision, football just in general, like the things he can do it's scary at times. So whenever you have a guy like that on your team that is firing on all cylinders or just performing, you're a better team because he can do things. And again, I'll reiterate, I think our group's done a great job of finding a way to be effective without that. But we know that if we want to be the best version of ourselves, he's a guy that allows that to happen. So we're excited. We're excited to get him healthy, strong, fit, and hopefully back on the field, contributing and doing what he does best, which is just making plays.
Yeah, just shows the importance of preseason, not only for fitness, but for tactics and team bonding as well. So I imagine it's going to be tough, I guess, positive. A lot of games, a lot of opportunities potentially to get some minutes, but getting fit in the middle of the season is tough because there's games, there's all this other coaching and then things that have to go on. And then you almost have to pull them aside and work with them on a one-on-one and kind of have a different schedule. And it probably takes them a little bit to get back in the group. So it's going to be a hurdle for you in the team, not really you, but for the team to manage. But it's good to hear that his head's in the right direction. That's really the most important part. I really think so.
Yeah. Well, and making sure that the thoroughness of the return to play program is like not rushing, right? Because of course he's going to want to play right away, and a lot of people want him to play right away. But like the demands of this season and the demands of the games, like it's one thing to want it; it's another thing for your body to be capable of doing it, especially in long spurts. So you got to be careful with how you go about it, and I think our group understands that.
No, very smart. If you're going to get him back, you want him back the rest of the season, not for 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
All right. Put a bow in it. We got Cincinnati 3, Columbus 2. Acosta with a brace, Moreno getting the winner, Zellerian and Amundsen getting some goals. Will, Mr. Ohio himself, What do you make of this new rivalry? Question mark.
I mean, it's not new, quote unquote, but it's definitely the quality has gone up, right? I think for the first bit there, it wasn't so much of a back and forth. It was kind of a one-way street. But like we talked about at the beginning, Cincinnati's been great to start the season and great at home. I think their home record is like 8-0 or something crazy. So they're a group of players that's motivated, and it's a Columbus team that under Nancy now is really figuring it out. So that was one of those games you're excited to watch, and I don't think it didn't disappoint based on the goals and the back and forth. So yeah, unfortunately Columbus loses, but again, it's just more credit Cincinnati, man. They're figuring it out.
Yeah, I agree. Having played for Cincinnati during, like, I would essentially say the final year of like turmoil with that organization, and since then they've really come a long way. It is shocking to see how far they have actually come.
Quickly.
In less than 18 months.
Yeah. Basically since Pat was hired.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 100%. Going out, signing or bringing in the right coaching staff, bringing in the right group of players. Obviously you've held on to, a handful of the players that were there 2021 and before. And one of those players being Lucho Acosta, who in this game, I mean, bags a brace and forces the turnover that leads to the third goal.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, covered every blade of grass. I mean, this is probably one of his best performances in an FC Cincinnati shirt. And as somebody who's played against him, Will, I'm sure you can attest to the impact and the ability of this guy.
Yeah, Lucho's awesome, man. I mean, I think he does an amazing job of just, like we talked about with Wright, right? Like just makes plays and finds themselves in good positions. But he's one where you can't click off when you're around him because he punishes people. And I think you saw it. We were talking about the goal. Z and I were talking about the goal because he just runs past. I think it is Amundsen on like there's a give and go. Badger gets played behind, and he just kind of runs into the box. And it's one of those plays where you see him as a defender, you see him run past you, you're like, I hope the ball doesn't go to that guy. And then it like goes right to him. Yeah. So it's interesting. Like he gambles and he just finds a way to be in the right place at the right time. And that's what good players do.
Yeah, I would agree. In this game, I think Columbus obviously started on the back foot, but from their perspective, I mean, they dug in and they showed that dog mentality and, grabbing a goal 5 minutes before the end of the half and grabbing a goal on in the first 5 minutes of the second half, really is something that, Brandon, you can attest to this. How many times have I addressed this on this podcast of, dude, those are the worst times to concede goals going into the half and coming out of the half, because it opens the game and it shifts the momentum.
Yeah.
Well, look, I switched games at 2-0. I was like, next. I was like, FC Cincy's running away with this one. I forgot what other game I went to. I was just kind of clicking around, because I have MLS season pass. I was like, oh, well, maybe let's go see what's going on with Nashville. It's always fun to see what Mukhtar's doing. DC and LA was on or whatever. But yeah, I wrote this one off. I was like, deuces, it's lampshades for Columbus. And sure enough, they did the old pre-halftime, post-halftime talk on the field. And you got to be so frustrated if you're Cincy to just turn off right at the end. Then you hit reset and like, all right, lock it up. They come out well, and they concede 7 minutes in. You're like, okay. And then they did dig deep. They locked it up, and then they got the game winner 15 minutes later. It just shows you they're Brazilian. And you're right. They're 8-0 at home.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. But it's funny. It's like at halftime, you sit there in the locker room and you're like, all right, we got to start right, guys. We just conceded right before. Like everyone's talking, like let's figure it out. Let's start out right. And then you come out and they score like immediately.
It's literally the worst feeling too, because you've just addressed it as an entire team and you're sitting there and you're like, your head, the goal goes in and your head drops. We just talked about it. Guys, come on. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Oh man, I just watched back. Dink to the back post. Celentano gives up the deflection. Good poach with Amundsen right there. But yeah, it's got to be so funny to have that. Well, I love to see the Ohio, football heritage. We had Christian Ramirez on earlier this season. We talked to him a little bit about, I think, the attackers, right? And obviously wanted to figure out what was going to happen with Brandon Vasquez. To be fair, a quiet season. I do see that Brenner's listed as out with an ankle injury until mid-June, right around when he's going to leave. Do you guys think we're going to see him again, or do you think they're just going to keep him on the sidelines until it's time for him to move to Europe, to Italy?
I don't know, man. It'll be interesting. Like, part of me thinks you just wrap him up and keep your investment safe, right?
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want is anything to happen. Not that, I mean, you also want a player. I'm sure it's Udinese, right? Udinese?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I think so. I'm sure they're going to want him coming in at least somewhat sharp, but at the same time, it's preseason. So at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world if he's not like firing all cylinders. But I bet for him, he's going to want like a send-off game, right? I think that would be something that you as a player would want. Like, here, you gave me the opportunity and now I'm moving on, but like, I want to show the fans that my appreciation, the club, my appreciation.
Yeah.
I hope we see him. I think it would be great for the league,
I do too. Especially as someone who came to the league with such a high expectation,
100%.
didn't deliver in any
Initially.
capacity in this first year. Right.
Yeah.
And in, again, when Pat took over, I'm sure they sat down with him, they had a conversation, and they figured out what he needed to be successful. And now look, you're moving him on to Europe, and, granted, you're taking an initial loss on the transfer fee. However, there are incentives and the additional sell-on fee, which, who knows if that will ever come back to the club. However, I'm sure at some point they will see their full investment back in their pockets.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's a good story. I mean, I think that's what MLS really wants. They want to push these players that can come here, they can develop, they can play games, and then we can move them on to the next part of their career. And when you become a league that's not just like, I mean, I think we were talking pre-recording about some of the MLS salaries that came out. So you get this interesting mix of like being a selling league, but also one that guys can come to and make a great life and living too. So it poises itself well for, I think, the league for sure.
Yeah, and without a doubt. So I was looking into this. I'm not throwing shade. I'm just looking at the table, ladies and gentlemen. They do play Toronto FC 621. That might be a safe game for him to get some minutes. Maybe like a second half, right? The last 10 minutes or something, put him on.
Yeah.
So, and then it's DC June 24th to be the last one before July 1st. Cause I think technically the registration change happens the 1st of July for the European window. So
got it.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, exactly. We'll take a quick break. Cody, you've got another brand. You got a partner actually bringing one back for this one.
Yeah. No Cow. It is one of my, as somebody who's very cognizant of what they put into their body. I am big into dairy-free protein. So, I mean, I guess I would say vegan protein. And No Cow is a dairy-free protein bar that provides 21 grams of plant protein, 1 gram of sugar, and 3 grams of net carbs. It is the chocolate fudge brownie, which awesome. I really enjoy. Oh, you've had these before?
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah, they are very good. And
isn't it funny that the healthy stuff has always like the crazy candy bar brownie flavors?
Yeah, I know. It's like, wait, what?
How do they do it? Brownie? I'm fascinated.
I don't know, but it is a very good protein bar, and I highly recommend it because it's not like a super chalky protein bar. They are very easy to eat. I don't know. I love them. Will loves them. Go and get yours now.
What's your protein per bar?
21 grams.
That's solid. That's solid.
21 grams. That is very good for a vegan protein bar.
Hey, like I said, great for afternoon snack when you're dying at work. For all of you working professionals like myself as well, I always have protein bars in the backpack when I'm at work on the run. They're good, satiating, healthy for you. So check it out. No Cal, link in the description. But we're gonna jump right back into it because we got a couple more games here, gentlemen. Philly versus New England. New England was on a burner. Our boy Dylan, who does the graphics, was riding high, talking them up. A little bit of a slide to third place now. Philly, who started hot, hit their slide and seem to be back on form again. So I don't know, Cody. 3-0 here. Big one for Philly.
Yeah, big one for Philly, but in my opinion, it's a not so good display from New England more than anything.
So worst result for New England than being a better win for Philly.
I think so. If you watch the goals, if you watch a majority of the game, they just look so discombobulated defensively in this specific game. Now, last week they looked good. And this is my thing with New England is right now you just don't know which New England you're going to get week to week. You could get the 2021 Supporter Shield winners, or you could get the 2022 version of New England that didn't even qualify for the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. Like, it's a group of players that they have quality, but week to week, it's hard to really nail down what kind of group they are. And also Philly, man, these guys they're tough. They're just tough. Yeah. They run hard, they press hard, they win the ball, and they transition quick. Like they know what they are and they do it well with intensity. Mm-hmm. And that's a group of players that, like, whether it's we played them in the Open Cup, you know what you're going to get against the guys that are rotated. You play their first team, you know what you're going to get. So it's always tricky when you play them because you're just going to be in for a dogfight. And if you're not clean and you're shifting defensively, they expose you with the two strikers and the number 10, and it can get ugly. Ugly.
Yeah. And as you said, they're very clinical in their transition. And if you look at the goals, 2 of the 3 goals are transition moments. And,
for sure.
You know, it's a long ball over the top, or, you know, picking up the second. Yeah. Ball over the top gets knocked out, and they're just quick and they're clinical. And that's the difference in this game.
Yeah, it was just a bummer because we said Dwan on. You know, we thought we were getting good vibes. Everything was going well for him. He's got that contagious smile, and then they just go get routed. I'm like, shit. Sorry about that, man. Feel bad watching that happen and just kind of fall apart. But you're right. You know, they had that just bad back pass and went right to maybe even Carranza. I'm not really sure who it was, but and they just executed on the 2, gave up the penalty. Bit of a just, you know, Farrell making a mistake.
Yeah, because think about, I mean, he's what, 300 appearances in, maybe more. And it's like, how many of those games are you going to look at and say he had that type of game? 3, 4, maybe. I mean, the guy's an MLS vet, and he's been around the league for 10 years now. I mean, of course, you're going to have those games. As a professional, he knows that. He'll go into next week and he'll be flying. So. Yeah.
And coaches know that too, right? They're like, okay.
Especially coaches like Bruce.
Yeah, we get it. This happens. Let's just move on.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, New England, they'll be taking on Chicago at home again.
Oh,
whatever two-sided Jekyll and Hyde you're going to get from Chicago, we'll see. And then they've got Atlanta. So potentially a tough couple games. On the flip side, Philly, who are really trying to get their season back on track, but they had CONCACAF Champions League. Obviously, they had to see you guys in the Open Cup, and now they're going to be taking on NYCFC away, and then Charlotte at home, then Montreal. So again, like it's an up and down kind of fixtures, but I wouldn't like rank these. It's like, oh, well, this one's easy, this one's tough. I've learned my lesson. Sure. So it just is what it is. They got to go on the road after that, but it's a short road trip. Philly to New York City is nothing.
Yeah, that's a manageable one for them. I think you're right in terms of them just getting back healthy and ready. Philly, is what I'm speaking about. But with the CONCACAF, with all the demands that they were putting on their squad, man, it's a lot. And I think for them, we know what they are. We know they're a good team, and home or away, they're gonna show up the same way and be difficult.
Yeah, without a doubt.
For sure.
I was looking at the Rev schedule too, and just kind of where they're going to go from here. Oh, yeah, we'll see. They've had a, like you said, busy run of season. They're still in it. They're fifth in the East right now for Philly. So, and even Revs, they're probably still thrilled that they're top three. 24 points overall, only 6 points off the top. They're 7-3-1 overall. I mean, that's a good record. Their goal difference is 5. Trying to see here. So yeah, they're doing all right. The last one that we wanted to talk at, and again, like I'm probably going to get shaded for leaving out somebody's game. Like we're going to leave out St. Louis, pounding Kansas City because we're going to go Chicago 3, Atlanta 3. I love red cards. All right, let's bring in the excitement. Let's talk about it. How Chicago survived this is beyond me. They played down a man after the 26th minute. How they survive the onslaught of Atlanta is brilliant. And that's why I wanted to start here. That's why I wanted to end here, Cody. A little bit of fireworks.
Yeah, definitely. For me, it speaks volumes. This game speaks volumes to the perseverance of Chicago. And just like not only the players on the field, but just like the organization as a whole, because they've somehow managed to just stay relevant. I don't know, like they're not a good team, but they always are a talking point. It's like
all news is good news, baby.
Yeah, like I don't know. They at one point they're down a man and they're leading this game 2-1.
2 cautions within 23 minutes. Navarro gets his first caution in the 3rd minute, his second sent off in the 26th minute. 3 minutes later. 3 minutes later, Atlanta scores with Gutman, and that's where you're at. So you're 30 minutes into the game, Will. You're down a man, and you're down a goal, knowing how your season's gone. And they somehow gut this one out.
Dude, but we played them in Chicago this year, and they're not like you said, Jekyll and Hyde for sure, but like they're a group that's like sneaky kind of good. And you can't really bet against them because you just never know. But they have enough quality to score goals and create chances. But down a man, you're like, well, none of that matters, right? None of that's gonna matter. Down a man, down a goal, you're like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But credit to them, man, because that's not easy to do. I mean, I think the earliest red card I've ever seen in a game I played in was we played in Seattle, and it was like the 11th minute we took a red card.
Oh,
and we ended up tying the game. And it was like 80, whatever.
In Seattle?
Yeah, we played almost 80 minutes, like down a man, bro. And it was hell on earth. But at the same time, like sometimes, like we were just talking about, it's your day and it's not the other team's day. They can't score. But this game, like 3-3, like Chicago had to score goals, which is pretty amazing that they're down a man and they're doing with, or was it 3-3? What was the final?
It's 3-3.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. So they go down 1-0 on the ensuing free kick from the red card or from the second yellow card. They go up 2-1, go down 3-2, and tie at 3-3 in like the 91st minute.
That's insane.
Well, don't forget Luis Rajo got his second yellow card for Atlanta in the 71st minute. So they had about 20 minutes playing 10v10 in this match.
Okay, so it was even for a little bit, I guess. Yeah.
And Chicago threw on the late subs in the 73rd minute and then double switch at 80th. And then they got their goal in the 89th. So
dude, Frank the Tank, man, I'm telling you, Frank Klopas.
It's interesting. At an Olympico from Xherdan Shaqiri, technically went as an own goal, but off that corner kick, he just zero respect, just whipped that thing right into the near post. Brady and Barata just couldn't figure it out and ended up just falling into the goal. Cody, you got to be so frustrated watching that thing go in.
Oh yeah. Especially with two of your more like stronger headers of the ball, you would think that Atlanta would be able to deal with that. However, I'm super happy that Shaqiri is finally kind of finding a rhythm. maybe, playing a part in Chicago's offensive success, because this guy, as we discussed before the podcast, is making a very nice chunk of change. And I think he needs to be more impactful for Chicago to have and to find success this season.
Without a doubt, dude. Without a doubt. I mean, if they want to ascend and move past just being there and then actually getting invited to the dance, I mean, they need their best players to show up. And I will say, man, like the young kid Gutierrez has been great for them. Fabian Herbers has been great. They've had some pieces. Kai's performed extremely well. So I also felt it was a little bit unfair for Ezra Hendrickson getting fired, because it wasn't like they were that poor to start the season. But I think when you get Shaqiri kind of firing all cylinders and starting to figure it out, it helps the group perform better.
Absolutely.
I forgot to mention on the Luis Araujo, he was cautioned in the 69th and then 71st minute.
Okay. Oh, wow.
That's spicy.
Yeah. And I would say, so providing a little bit of a fan perspective on the Shaqiri thing, when you see that he's the number one earner in the league, your expectations understandably go up. And I think what a lot of American fans are afraid of is those like Galactico days, whether it was, Pirlo. I think Stevie G really kind of left a bad taste in people's mouth because he even spoke so poorly about the league. Come here towards the twilight of your career, make a bag, don't really try to grow the league, and then leave after that. That's the concern. So to see Shaqiri show up in this one, and he had a good second assist where he could have just played the easy ball down the line, instead played it right into their target man who knocked it down for the finish. That's just better. Like whether it's Bernadeschi, in Toronto, and I forgot his other
Insigne.
The thing is, you do want exciting players to come over and light up the league, because that's what creates the passionate fans. That's what creates the excitement. So hopefully he can kind of go on from here. Chicago, they've had their turmoil. Hopefully they can settle the rest of the season and produce. But this 3-3 game, 2 red cards, I was absolutely all over it. Thought it was an absolutely electric game just because it had everything in it. Own goals, double cautions, the whole mix, and then you go right to the 89th minute to come back and draw. I was just like, this is awesome. Put MLS in a blender, and this is what you get.
For sure, dude. For sure.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I will note that all of Chicago's goals, all 3, were scored in the final 5 or first 5 of a half.
Love it. Look at you.
Just gonna point that one out again.
Just confirming your narrative. Confirm your narrative,
baby. Hey, from a goalkeeper's perspective, that is absolute head loss. Oh, I'm losing my mind.
Disaster.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to see how the rest of it goes. But I tell you what, another exciting weekend for the MLS. Will, we're excited to see what you guys continue to do at Minnesota United. I owe you a visit at your office. And I told you I'm a fair weather fan. So now that it's nice in Minnesota, I can finally come out and enjoy everything that Allianz Field has to offer, which is a lot.
Come on down, baby.
Don't tell Zarek to getting into that beer hall while you guys are playing here shortly. So, hey, I'll be in there. I'll be screaming Wil Trapp's name from the bleachers.
I guess
from the beer hall.
But summertime Twin Cities is special, dude. It really is.
Yeah, 7 months of pent up demand.
Don't sleep on Minnesota. Do not sleep on Minnesota. I tell so many people this. Minnesota summers are at the pinnacle in the United States, and nobody believes me.
It's just
short-lived. It's so tough. It's so short-lived, man. It's tough.
I know.
It's tough.
It really is. It really is.
I suggest you guys marry into a lake house like I did. That's been very enjoyable. So
it's a brilliant idea.
I encourage that.
I am married into a lake house. So
nice. We can compare.
There we go.
That'll be fun.
Yes. All I know is, will I get invited to the cabins? That's all I ever want. No one. They say, "Oh, well, yeah, we'll have to have you up. Have you up." Never.
I'm looking at your schedule. Will, when?
Yeah. We'll have Beth and the boys up. You go to Leagues. You go to Leagues Cup, and I'll take Beth and the boys up.
Yeah. I'll be down in Pueblo, Mexico, dude. Yeah, sick.
I studied abroad there. If you need a recommendation.
Oh gosh.
Did you in Pueblo?
The recommendation is don't leave the hotel.
I've been to that stadium. It was interesting. I actually have a fake Pueblo kit in my closet. No joke.
That's awesome. Yeah, we did our. That's where our U20 qualifying was in Pueblo.
Yep. And we were told not to leave the hotel.
Yeah, they're the big VW plant there.
Yeah, actually a nice state. The stadium was impressive. If I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was. It was very nice. I actually remember going out for warm-ups for the game versus Mexico.
Yeah.
And just
couldn't hear
getting no. And it was all booze. Because we were the first ones on. We were, as the goalkeepers, we were the first ones on the field, and we'd even gone out before the Mexico goalkeepers, who ironically is Richard Sanchez, who I played against.
Oh
yeah. I saw him a couple weeks ago. And he plays for Tab now at Hartford.
That's funny. At Hartford, yeah, Tab's at Hartford now. That's right.
But yeah, I mean, I can remember running out onto that field and not being able to hear myself think because boos were just ringing out. It was
incredible environment for young players. It was amazing. That was amazing. But I'm excited to go back there for this League's Cup and see what we got working. It'll be interesting.
I thought all the games were in North America. I'm sorry, that was dumb of me. Stateside in Canada.
No, I think there's a couple down there.
Interesting.
At least for us.
Hey, Cody, every time we talk to like pros like Will, no one knows.
Nobody knows.
We've heard
super ambiguous. Yeah. We've heard three different narratives.
Cash cow, baby.
Yep. Of course. Of course it is. How can the league make more money?
Hey.
And the players not.
I will say though, the players. Well, no, the players, because there was an agreement amongst both players associations.
Was there
behind this of like they can't get paid more than we get paid kind of thing. So there's a healthier agreement, I think, on this one for what the bonuses will look like. Yeah.
So both of your games are actually at Allianz Field. You play Puebla July 23rd. So far is what it says. And then you guys play Chicago Shakiris on 7/27. What is that? 4 days later?
Yeah.
There you go, Will.
It's all like, okay, well, never mind. Give me the invite then. Sick.
Yeah. We'll go up to the cabin. Let's go.
Settled.
Come on, dude.
Settled.
You kidding me, bro?
Oh my goodness.
Awesome.
You're trying to make excuses for me, bro.
Oh gosh.
Well, hey, Will, enjoy the time in Houston. We will see you back in Minnesota soon enough. But it looks like you guys have Real Salt Lake next.
No, they have Houston in the Open Cup. Houston in the Open Cup.
Yeah.
But then Salt Lake at home.
Yep. And then home against Salt Lake. So hopefully that'll be nice for you guys. You can have 2 days at home before you go to Austin. Jeez, you guys literally are just bouncing all over the country.
Yeah, I'm sure Beth and Liz are going to be very happy with you and Zarek.
Yeah, my plan already is just as soon as we touch down on Tuesday night after this game tomorrow, I'm like full dad duty. Dad duty. So.
Oh, by the way, I walked into Adidas yesterday. Speaking of full dad duty, it just reminded me. I walked into Adidas the other day and I found these slippers. I'm going to send you a picture of them. They are dad to a T. They are incredible. I actually sent them to Zarek and Zarek was like, dude, I love those. Those are perfect.
You have to send them to me. It's great.
Yeah, I will. I'll send them to you now. It's
suburban dads in Minnesota, that's just how we roll.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. Well, just to say your June's going to suck, but your July is great. 3 out of 4 weekends you're home, which will be good.
July's
August is pretty good for you as well. And September. So, but man, these seasons are gruel for you guys, especially, like we talk about catching form, right? Like you got a tough front half of the season, Road Warriors, and the back half you're at home with a little bit of consistency and stuff. And I was talking to Cody, this MLS schedule, whoever does it, I'd like to have words with them. Was it like, someone had to play like the hardest team in the league like twice in like 6 weeks or something like that, or 4 weeks. You're like, what are we doing? Why are we burning these home away fixtures like right at the beginning of the season? It's confusing at times.
It is confusing. But
the drama.
I've given up trying to understand it, to be honest.
Yeah. Just show up when they tell you to. So, all right. Well, we're going to wrap there, ladies and gentlemen. A good one in the books. Follow Will, link in the description. Follow Minnesota United. See what the captain's up to. Cody, continue to enjoy sunny SoCal.
I will do my best.
Apparently it's summer all year round there. That's
I can tell you that it is not. It's actually rained more here in the last like 2 months that I've been here, apparently, than it has in the last like 2 years.
No.
Wow.
Super interesting. Yeah. They did.
Bummer.
They did need it, and they do need it, because tell you what, our training fields are a rock. They are so hard. My hips. Thanks. Yeah, terrible.
Cody's wearing turf shoes out there.
Oh, it's brutal.
The turfs. Love it.
Brutal.
All right. Anyways, we'll be back with week 15. But that's going to wrap us up. If you would subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Apple or Spotify. That's the other one. Leave us a 5-star review. Tell us if you enjoyed it, but we'll be back next week. So until then, have fun.